first just talk about what you liked from your team today?
Well, we didn't play offensively, a crisp or a great game. Give some credit to them. They mixed up some of the defenses there, and, we struggle at times with the zone. But to our credit, what I liked was, we had a drought, and we didn't sort of let the drought affect us. You know what I mean? We battled back, and it's a tie game at the end of the half. And I said to Kyle, I wanted you to foul him because we had fouls to give. I said, foul him. And he's looking at me, and the kid heard me say foul him. So then he went to dribble, and, I said to Kyle at half, still foul him because he's trying to score. But neither here nor there. That's another thing when you're in those situations where Kyle had that, okay, now next time I say we got fouls to give, you foul him. But even there, we battled back, and then in the second half, these teams that we play in this league, they're all really good at capitalizing. And Ethan was really good after the game. Like when I said, what happens when we make mistakes? Well, they capitalize. They got these guys who we missed a wide open three at a key time, unbelievable offense, flying it down. We miss it. Davidson gets a three. He makes it right back. And that's what I mean. We got to somehow through this whole process learn how to cut down on our mistakes. Not missing a three is not a mistake. We had 3 turnovers in the beginning of for half. I called a timeout to sort of settle us down. They have a 7-point lead, but I thought for the next 12, 14 minutes, we hung in there. We battled. We cut it to 4, I think, one day. We cut it to 5. We had those, but right when those times come, did we get an open shot that we miss and they go down and they make that 3? Do we not take advantage of a situation where the ball was loose and we didn't get it, and then they get it back in 53, 8, and 11? They're the kinds of guys that they're going to capitalize, and that's what they did. Give them credit. And, what I liked is through mucky sort of half-court offense for us, didn't really bog us down. We stayed in the game, but then, we couldn't make that. We had a couple true straight. We had another drive for a layup that we missed. They go down and score. We throw the ball to a guy wide open 3 in the corner. We miss. They go down and score. This game sort of got away at that juncture. But that wasn't until the last sort of 4 minutes. So that's what I liked. We stayed in there as we didn't play our best offensive basketball at all.
Yeah, and Kyle Marshall played quite a bit today, close to the whole game. And so can you just talk about what you've seen from him? And I know he got a double-double last game too.
Well, I think every game Kyle plays, it's really just a learning curve of, how hard the games are, how mentally prepared you got to be. I finished in the locker room with the guys is, okay, we were off Wednesday. We play New Mexico Saturday at home, and you prepare. You don't play the game on Saturday at 2 o'clock. You start getting ready tomorrow on our off day by taking care of your body, going to see the trainer twice, by going to see the weight coach if you do, and by taking care of your schoolwork so that you're up on your schoolwork and you're not falling behind. And that's what you do on your off day because that's how you prepare for I'm playing Saturday. And then you got 2 days on Thursday and Friday where that's where you're playing the game on Saturday. And, that's where I think Kyle's ultimate growth lies is just in understanding that, okay, these games are really hard. If I play 32 minutes, if I play 28 minutes, if I play 35 minutes, I got to get mentally tougher. I got to really learn what this is and how every one of these things matters because these teams capitalize when we make a mistake, right? And we got to get better at us capitalizing when we have our opportunities. And right now, if you looked at that scale, well, the scale is way, it's in their favor that they capitalize when we make a mistake. And when it's opportunity, Air Force, we don't capitalize. We don't match that. And, I think that's where Kyle's growth lies is just in that understanding, how important every one of these things is so that those guys don't capitalize on our mistakes. And it's because of his growth that way. So that's what I'd like to see from him, down the stretch the last month of the season.
Yeah, and besides Kyle, do you see more confidence from some of your younger guys, like Yoda's playing a little bit more and some of those other guys? Yeah,
I would love to, like I said to the guys after the game, when teams go to a zone right now, and we've seen a little bit more of it, it's really hard to play our freshmen right now. They don't really know, the zone offenses. They haven't played against zones. And then passing ability and seeing things is such a critical thing against zone. And it's not really their strength, you know what I mean? Their strength is okay. When we're playing against man-to-man, I can put in all 4 or 5 of those guys. So we got to come up with something coaching-wise to help those guys against the zone. We got to come up with something to increase our pace in the half-court offense. It's like that's pretty much what we got to do. When we're flying it up the court after misses, we got unbelievable opportunities and advantages, and we got to learn how to take more advantage of those. But there's something when the other team scores and where there's not as much pace, and next thing you know, there's 12 seconds on the shot clock, and we didn't have that kind of pace, and it's advantage. It's just proven it's advantage them, and we got to get better, and and the coaches, we have to come up with something where, okay, what can mimic that kind of pace even though they scored? What can we do to mimic that? Because there's no question that's our best offensive stuff that we see over the course of a game, and we got to figure that out. If we can figure that out, then I'm helping the guys, and they got to keep grinding and keep fighting, and keep doing what we just said about making sure we're ready to play on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you think is the most important thing that your team needs to do to close out some of these games?
Yeah. I think the most important thing is, and I think we're getting a little better at it, is like what we started with. I see that the sort of bad times, the bad offensive times, I don't see it as affecting us as much anymore. You know what I mean? We stay with it. We grind it out, and that's a sign of a team getting older and more experienced. It happened tonight, first half, and it happened tonight, second half, where we stayed in there. We came back, we get it to 4. We're not having our bad, not bad, but like our muddied offense that's not going so good. It's not affecting us as much anymore. I think earlier, in the season, okay, the game would have gone to 20 points. We're not doing it. We're coming back. We're staying in there. That's growth. So we got to keep doing that as we find these ways to sort of get us to learn how to capitalize on our opportunities more and limit their opportunities, because when we make mistakes, every team in this league is really good and has guys that they know they capitalize on. And that's what we're sort of up against right now, and our guys' mental sort of acuity to know, and some people, margin for error slim. How are you going to finish the thing? Well, understand that it is, your margin for error is slim. We make mistakes. They do capitalize. Both ends of the court, we got to learn how to minimize them down here and aggrandize them on our end of the court on offense, and that is what it's going to have to take to do what you said, to obviously get the result that we're working very hard to produce.
I believe today was a milestone for you, tying the school record for most starts. Can you just talk about what that means to you?
Just glad that the coaches trust me enough since I've been here to allow me to start every game that I've been able to play in. I work hard to get the position I'm at, so I'm glad it worked out for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And what do you see, or I guess what do you think your team did well today?
In the first half, we did a really good job at finding their weaknesses when they were in defense. They were helping a little bit too hard, and we were able to exploit that. So I think that worked really well for us in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kyle Marshall, he had a double-double last game and played almost the whole game today. Can you just talk about what you've seen from him so far, or lately?
Yeah, I've been really trying to imbue knowledge in Kyle. He's going to be a key part of this team. So I've been trying to just, give him the nuggets and everything he needs to, be successful, because, he's one of those guys that has that drive, that go, that motor. So I just want to, empower him to be the best he can be, and just show that, he's the player that, he wants to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the second half, you guys held Nevada 7 minutes without a field goal. Can you talk about your defense in this game and kind of what went into that?
I feel like throughout the whole game, our defense, wasn't great, but also wasn't terrible. We were able to have some consistencies in there and get stops when we needed them. It's hard to play defense when you don't put the ball in the basket on offense. So I think that kind of contributed to our downfall. But I think overall our defense wasn't either way on both sides. It was kind of neutral, and when you're not making shots, it's a lot easier for your defense just to fall off. So I'm proud of us for being able to keep our defense steady. Sorry, but yeah.
Yeah, and I guess what are some of the key takeaways that your team is taking into Saturday?
We got to be players. You got guys on the court. You got to learn to contribute, learn to do things without, it have to be drawn up for you. And we have to remember the plays. We got to be players. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. There's other teams when stuff breaks down for them, they have go-to guys, go-to stuff to do, and we just got to have players that are ready to play the game of basketball. Everything can't be drawn up for us.
Yeah, and what was your message to your teammates after the game?
Exactly that. I just said, we got to have more energy. You got to care. Like, you can't believe, like Coach Scott always says, you got to care about, your mentality and the way people view Air Force men's basketball. And at the same time, you got to be a player. The other teams, they have the scouting report. No one's silly. They're probably trying to stop me from shooting up threes, and they're probably trying to stop our bigs from, getting position. So everyone else is out there. If they're not really worried about you, got to be a player. You got to help us out. Because other teams, when we make mistakes, they capitalize. And when other teams start making mistakes, we have to start learning how to capitalize without it happening to be one person or two people. So we just got to learn how to be players.